Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with our second episode of our League of Champions tournament mode here playing with Arsenal. Our first game is going to be up against Tottenham Hotspurs. Obviously, like I said, I want to take this series into a way of talking about each club. So coming up against Tottenham, not too much to say to introduce you to the team. Obviously, the team that's always in Arsenal's shadow. No matter how well they do, they never seem to be able to pass up Arsenal. So good for me as an Arsenal fan. Love to always see that. But they're actually not doing that bad this year, and it's been pretty surprising how well they've actually been able to come across in the league. Obviously, Arsenal up at the top, and with the Premier League in a very weird situation, no one really knows who's going to come out on top. It's whatever team really doesn't make it as many mistakes as everyone else is making. And that has put both Tottenham and Arsenal at a kind of good position. Their manager, Pochettino, is an incredible manager, in all honesty. I've always had a soft spot for some of the managers they've had come through. AVB, despite his decisions to manage some clubs that obviously Arsenal fans are going to hate, he wasn't really that bad of a manager, and I think he got a lot of flack there. But it seems like just about everybody in the organization loves to get behind Pochettino. As you see, my wonderful goal with Giroud, honestly, I thought he was going to completely shank that shot when he hit it with his right foot, but just an absolutely beautiful goal. But like I was saying, it seems like everybody's kind of behind Pochettino, which is really going to help them in transfers, in my opinion. And I'm really, for Tottenham's sake, I think they need to hang on to him. If they let him go to Manchester United and go through another manager regime change, I think it's going to really screw over the club, and they're going to kind of put themselves back. And they're not going to be able to grow as well as they are, and they're definitely not going to be able to keep on to players like Harry Kane if they switch up the managers. So I think they're in a good spot right now. Obviously, Harry Kane doing fantastic things. If they can hold on to him, they're definitely going to have good things in the future. In my opinion, if they don't get in top 4 this season, I don't think they will get top 4 ever. I mean, this is their best season to do it with the big names kind of drifting away and not playing well this season. They really need to push for that top 4 spot and get into the Champions League next year. Really brutal tackle here by Dembele. Instant red card. Absolutely awful. Lucky my player didn't get injured. Just a really ugly tackle all the way around. Very bad decision making. My free kicks still are not where I need them to be. They're nothing like they were at the beginning of my A-Bar career mode, which I don't know if that's patch maybe, or me just not having enough practice with my free kicks, but they're just not coming off the way I need them to. I think that Tottenham, however, is definitely, I'm almost positive they'll make top 4 this season, and to see them in the Champions League will definitely be interesting. I don't know how well they're really going to fare because I don't think they have that deep of a squad. Their squad, after the starting lineup gets into a lot of youngsters, which, I mean, their starting squad has a lot of youngsters as well, and I think Dele Alli obviously is leading that charge with Harry Kane. Dele Alli definitely coming up very quickly in the ranks of football in general, not just Tottenham. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how they progress, and I hope that Dele Alli actually does get some playtime in the European scene, playing in the Euro League. Hopefully getting him a little bit more credit, I guess, at least from a neutral point of view. Obviously taking the Arsenal fan out of me and just looking at it from a neutral point of view, I think Dele Alli would do really good with playing in the Europa League. But this game is going to come to a close. I had one last break here with Denny Welbeck. Just pushed it a little bit too far, and he didn't have the pace to catch back up to the ball. I was just trying to outrun their defender and try to get one more shot off, but I wasn't able to as Lloris came out and collected the ball. So a 1-0 win. Obviously, you never want to lose to Tottenham as an Arsenal fan, so it was good to get that win, especially after that last episode, how brutal it was. Going into the next game, we do come up against Benfica. Another good team to look at. Obviously, the least volatile, I guess I should say, out of the teams coming out of Portugal. They are in 3rd in real life. As we're looking at the table as of right now, Spurs sitting at 9th. They did drop down the table pretty heavily after we did beat them. They were actually doing pretty well in about top 5. But coming into this Benfica game, definitely a big game for us to try to make a statement, do what we can, because this team kind of in the same position we are in the lower half of the league. So coming into it, definitely wanted to get a good result, and it all kind of started pretty early on into the game, to be fair. But talking about Benfica, like I said, they are in 3rd in real life, not doing fantastic, but I mean, at the same time, I think that top 3 could change at any time. Porto, Benfica, and Sporting are all kind of doing pretty well. As you see, Walcott with a beautiful shot on his left foot. Almost managed to have that shot link up with the drop in the song. That would have been nice, but it is what it is. Arsenal are actually looking at their, I believe he's a, I want to say 18 to 20-year-old wonder kid that they have at striker. Manchester United and both Arsenal are looking at him. I don't think Arsenal's going to get him just because I think paying the price that Benfica wants is a little too high. I think they're looking for like 25 million for him, or it's anywhere between 25 to 45. I know Manchester United is saying supposedly that they're willing to pay the 45, which I think if they say that, that'll immediately take Arsenal out of the running. And I don't think it's really a striker that we need anyways. I think we need a more solidified striker, so at the end of the day, it is what it is. I think Benfica, obviously they won the Europa League last year, definitely a strong team in Europe. They can never seem to really make it whenever it comes to the Champions League. So I'm not entirely sure how present they're going to be. They did make it, I believe, into the knockout stages. I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head who they're going to be playing against in the knockout stage. It may be Zenit, if I remember correctly, which would definitely be a good game overall. But at halftime, just a solid game. As you guys were looking at kind of those other matches going on in the league, we come into the second half with a 1-0 lead. Kind of wanted a little bit more of a lead, if I'm being fair, coming into the second half, just to give me a little bit more comfort and not have to worry too much about the game. But overall, I was playing pretty well. The squad felt pretty good. Benfica in this game, they're kind of like how Ajax are. They're a younger squad, but definitely still have a lot of potential in the squad. You can never doubt that, but they do have their established players as well. And there were definitely some players that I was worried about going up against. But that being said, I think Benfica really aren't looking that much in the transfer window to buy many players, at least not that news has come out with. A lot of players are obviously being sought after, like I was saying before, from Benfica to come over to England to go to these other leagues. A lot of their players always end up going to England, which you can't blame them. Here you're going to see just some nice midfield battles, which a lot of this game was throughout. And it was honestly, although the scoreline isn't going to reflect it, the game was actually pretty good and pretty good midfield battle between the two of us. And all players were just doing really well. As you see, a beautiful goal comes off for them in the 76th minute. Right from the outside of the box, just an awesome goal from John. I think he's also another player that Benfica definitely need to hold on to if they have any chance in progressing and making their team stronger and challenging for the Champions League. There's a few of those youth players. I think they definitely need to keep a hold of Gaetan and a few other players that definitely solidify the strength in their team. Here in, I think it was about the 80th minute, I brought in Danny Welbeck to just kind of add a little bit more pace to the team and try to get a couple more goals, and he changed everything for me. I put him out on the left, I believe, and he was just setting up goals beautifully. He was getting the ball, obviously a little bit of pace, did really well for him, and he was able to just kind of pull things out of nowhere. and definitely interjected a new level of pace into the squad, because Benfica's defense really isn't that fast, and they're really not that strong of a defense either. As you see, Danny Welbeck just kind of running through the team and getting taken out for a penalty. So Santi Cazorla, I don't believe was in this game. I had Ozil. I think he was the automatic preferred penalty taker, but I did want to give it to Danny Welbeck because he was doing a lot. It was actually Giroud that they put up here first, but as you see, I bring on Danny Welbeck, try to give him a goal because, obviously set up that assist in the first one. I think he honestly would have scored if he didn't get tackled in the box, so definitely wanted to give him a goal. So in the 90th minute, we are up 4-1. Definitely a good sign of things to come. Especially after that last episode, I was feeling good. I was feeling great. I was still pushing for the ball as much as I could, and honestly didn't think I would get another chance. But as you see, just a little bit of 1-2 passing going up the pitch, and I actually get a breakaway right here with Chamberlain running down the field and just having one more shot at the keeper, and have no clue how this ball went in. I don't know if it was because it was finessed or whatever, but it managed to go right over Julio Cesar's head, and showing off why he is no longer in the Premier League, I would assume. Obviously QPR dropping out didn't really help either, but Julio Cesar, he gets a lot of slack obviously from his time in QPR, but he is a good keeper nonetheless. And another player that I think they definitely need to hold on to just kind of keep a little bit of strength in the squad, keep a little bit of unity in the squad. And like I said, I think Benfica, I hope would... Honestly, I kind of like Benfica as a squad more so than Sporting and Porto, so I'd kind of like to see them in that second place spot more so than the third. They definitely have third locked down. If you look at the table, I mean, there's like a 20-point difference between them and the team in fourth place. So nothing for them to worry about at all. They're definitely going to be pushing for the top spot in the league, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that season ends for sure. So coming out of this game, as you see, I'm just kind of showing you guys a little bit more of the highlights that kind of didn't make it into the gameplay that I was kind of cutting in and out of. We have our next game against Napoli. Napoli, very strong team, obviously top of the league right now in Serie A. Still kind of felt confident going up against them, although they did have the pace that I was worried about. And honestly, thinking back on it, you guys are going to kind of see the squad that I pick. I think I could have definitely picked a better squad to kind of push back against the team that they had. But Napoli definitely pushing for that #1 spot. Juventus coming up very quick behind them, and we'll definitely get into Juventus whenever the time comes, but they're definitely going to have to make sure that they hold on to their players in this transfer window if they definitely have any intent on actually pushing for a top spot in the league. Because as of right now, I believe De Guzman is looking to go back to Swansea on a permanent deal, which alone would be very brutal. I mean, I know he's not a starting certain player in the squad. As you guys see here, penalty opportunity. Santi didn't score it. It was kind of a crappy penalty, in all honesty. A little disappointed not to score there and to take an early lead in the game. But like I was saying, De Guzman, I believe, is actually going back to the Premier League, going back to the top flight of English football, and I think that will definitely hurt Napoli, at least in depth perception-wise. I know they're looking to definitely try to win the league and looking to, try to get a couple cups under there too. And I honestly, I don't think if they win this year, I think they're going to lose a lot of players coming up. I know a lot of teams are obviously looking at Hamsik. A lot of teams are looking at Higuain, although I believe Bayern tried to go after Higuain and Napoli just basically turned and told them no. And Bayern came out and said, look, nobody else should even be trying to go for Higuain. They're definitely not looking to sell him, which is good on their part. It was a great pickup from Real Madrid a couple years ago, so definitely something that they need to keep looking forward to. Here, another disappointing goal in the goalkeeping issues in this game, and it's so frustrating scoring these goals because it's like, why would my defender tackle my keeper in trying to save the goal? So a little disappointing. Koscielny wrecking Petacek, allowing a goal to go through. You know, this team, going up against them, I wasn't too worried because they didn't have that many big names. Obviously, Mertens definitely a strong center attacking mid that they had in the team. Insigne, fantastic player. But there were a lot of lesser known players in the squad, and I was feeling confident. But this is definitely a team that has depth and definitely has a lot of skill within the squad, and something that they should definitely be proud of, and definitely something that I'm worried about going further into this league and obviously Champions League and everything like that in Napoli's future. I think they definitely have a good squad. It's a young squad, it's a strong squad, and it's definitely something to be feared here in the next few years. I think the days of seeing Juventus win every year are definitely coming to a close. Not to say that they won't win consecutively again this year, but it's definitely going to be a harder move for them with Napoli in their way. So a little bit more about this gameplay. Playing Murta again, Murta trying to go out for tackles. If he doesn't get that tackle and get the ball away, he's going to get burned because he gets himself out of position, he pushes too far up the field, and he doesn't have the pace to actually get back and make the tackle. So Insigne takes advantage and actually gets a goal against us. Insigne, I believe, is an Arsenal target actually. Not entirely sure how possible it is for us to really get him. His agent's been a little iffy about the conversation of us actually picking him up. He would definitely be a good choice for the squad, but I don't know if it's really necessary with the players we have. Definitely you want to get more depth because injuries play a big part in the second half of the season, but I think we could definitely put our money in better spots. As you see, a beautifully worked goal, a little 1-2 passing, just a beautiful Arsenal-Barcelona goal, passing their way into the box and just taking a beautiful shot into the upper 90 with Coquelin. Definitely a nice goal and a surprising goal because, you know, he really, the positions he gets himself into, he definitely gets opportunities, but he never seems to finish for me. So it was definitely a good goal to see, a little bit of a consolation goal for the fact that I went as far down as I did. So closing off this episode, like I said, all three teams we played, great teams in all honesty. You can't put anything past any of them. I think they're all going to do well in this series. We got 2 wins this episode and 1 loss. I think our goal difference is still going to be pretty low, disappointingly, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. We're working our way back up into the league. They don't manage to get a 5th pull, thankfully, so we managed to come out with only a 4-1 defeat, even though that's horrible. It is what it is. Until the next episode, I'll see you guys later. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.